Rod Maloy was born in 1958 on a country farm in Watts Flats, New York. Rod Maloy learned at an early age what it was like to be behind the wheel of a big farm truck, even though his feet could barely reach the pedals. Growing up, driving trucks, tractors, and cars, it was a given that Rod would cultivate an interest in the sport of auto racing. Rod would race cars through the fields of Watts Flats, emulating the likes of state line drivers and Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame inductees, the late Bobby Schnars, Ron Blackmer, Skip Furlow, and Sammy Lamacuso. Rod's first car purchase was a junk car with a number 13 on the side. Not wanting the unlucky 13 on his cars, he quickly transformed the 1 into a 7 and the 3 into an 8, and thus, for the next 36 years, become the famous number 78 of Rod Maloy. Over the years, he raced at State Line Speedway, Erie Speedway, Raceway 7, and Little Valley Speedway. He competed in the spectator class, the cadets, the sportsman class, the limited late models, and with the big boys in the super late model class, where he earned 32 super late model wins. In 2001 and 2007, Rod was the super late model champion at State Line Speedway. In 2001 and 2002, he was the State Line Erie Speedway Circuit super late model champion, and in 2001 and 2007 was named the State Line Speedway Driver of the Year. A retired truck driver now, who now makes his home in Panama, New York, I am honored to have Rod Maloy as a member of the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2024.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to congratulate all the other inductees here tonight. It's truly a great honor, and I'm sure they look at it the very same way. And all the past inductees also, congratulations to everybody. That's a bright flash you have there. Thank you to Randy Sweeney for submitting my nomination into the Hall of Fame. The Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame in itself, Randy, President, and the Board of Directors, thank you for thinking my achievements were worthy of such an honor. I appreciate it greatly. And people probably don't understand what the Sports Hall of Fame really does around here. There are so many people that are in the closet or hidden that people don't really understand what their backgrounds come about. And the board and the people that put their nominations in are just truly phenomenal. And to recognize the people like myself, I mean, like I said, it's truly an honor. As it said, I grew up in a small town, as Tony would say, Watts Flats, New York. As a kid, State Line Speedway is a small dirt track. Located in Bustine, New York, not very far from here. And I grew up 10 minutes from there, so as a child, I was always going over there. I was infatuated with all the race cars, and as I said, I grew up on a farm, so I was always monkeying around and everything. But when it got time, I grew up there. When I got to be 17, 18 years old, it's like, heck, I can do this, you know. So 36 years later after that, I guess you can call it a career, I guess. So I started out, there were several divisions at State Line Speedway. I started out in the very beginner class. It was called a spectator class. I say unfortunately, but it isn't really unfortunately. I did pretty well in my first year racing. I had a couple features wins, and that just gives you the bug to keep on going. And so that was in 1976 when I started. And I continued to step up from class to class. And in 1985, I believe it was, I was in a limited late class, which is still not to the premier racing class of the late model division where everybody was looking forward to get into. But racing is a financial hardship. Can't say it's a hardship, but it takes a lot of money to be effective and to be fast. At that time in '85, I had pretty much done everything on my own. I had sponsors, which I greatly appreciate, but in 1985, I obtained a sponsorship from Quality Markets, which that drastically changed my whole process of racing. It allowed me to buy better equipment. It just changed my whole network of racing. So in 1990, with a little bit of encouragement and with the still help of Quality Markets, I jumped up into the super late model class, which was the premier class of dirt track racing. I did well. I mean, through my whole career, I was able to win on a regular basis. And in my first year at the super late racing, they call it super late sometimes, I won the very last race of the year, which was a big Labor Day race. And I was voted as the Rookie of the Year in that class for that year. And I continued on racing through those years. I don't want to go into the whole 36 years here, but in 1990, what was it? 97, unfortunately, Quality Markets, I believe, went through some different restructuring, and they were no longer able to help me, which was, it hurt my racing program dramatically, but that's the way it was. I mean, there's so many people that picked up the differences and helped me out a lot. It was just phenomenal. Throughout racing, I could stand here and talk about the people and the sponsors I had. I mean, you'd want to be kicking me out of here right now because I'd be wasting all your time. But it is just crazy. 1999 was turning out to be one of my better years. I had just won a 100-lap race at State Line Speedway. That was in July, which was probably the pinnacle of my career as far as being able to win races. That 100-lapper was. And a month later, I had a tragic garage fire, and I lost everything. That would have been an easy out right there to call it a career, you know, after that many years. But Rodney didn't have that type of mentality, I guess. So he kept her going. And unfortunately, the equipment I got back into racing with the next year wasn't, I mean, it was good equipment, but it wasn't what I had built up to in all those years in the past. So in 2001, I teamed up with a gentleman named Tom Sturgis, and we combined our equipment together. And 2001 was a phenomenal year. I won a bunch of races. I won the State Line Championship that year. I was named Driver of the Year also that year. And the very next year in 2002, I also raced at Erie Speedway, which was a sister track to State Line. And they combined the two tracks together, and I was able to win the circuit championship then. And so we stayed together till it was 2005, I believe, and then we went our own separate ways. And once again, I was back on my own. But Tom recently passed away a couple of months ago, and I can't thank him enough, and rest in peace, Tom. Also, so after that, I was just pretty much on my own. And so in 2007, I'm probably boring you with all the dates, but I had come to the conclusion that my career was starting to wind down a little bit, and I was just gonna go race and just do what I could do. I was pretty much a one-man team at that time. I did all the work myself at the garage. I had people come to the track and would help me out. But as it turned out, 2007 was, in my estimation, the best year of my career. It was just phenomenal. I won a whole bunch of races that year. I won the State Line Championship, and again named Driver of the Year. So I mean, it was, like I said, that could have ended my career right there, and I would have been totally happy. I did continue on till like 2012. I was struggling toward the end of my career. I mean, the finances, and just like everything else in the world, has just escalated so much. It just got a little too much for me, and I had an opportunity to sell the car. So, and to me, I mean, there was no way I could top my career. I was totally happy with it. So I sold the car and called it quits. When I did retire in 2000, whatever it was, I just said, I was 6th all-time in late model feature wins at State Line Speedway. And I guess if there's anything I'd like people to remember me for my career was the determination that I had, and that I was able to probably do more with less than a lot of the other drivers because I didn't have the big funding or the big teams behind me with the help. As in any other sport or sporting event or anything, it wasn't just all about me. There's so many people and sponsors over the years that were just phenomenal for me. A couple sponsors that I'd really like to recognize, I mentioned them already, is the Quality Market sponsorship. They probably did more for my career than anybody can realize because they helped me turn that corner and just step my program up dramatically. Today, if somebody sees me and I tell them who I am, they'll go, "Oh, you drove the Quality Markets car." I mean, it's crazy, but that is basically how I'm remembered. Siemens Auto Wrecking, that was probably my longest standing sponsor throughout my whole career. He was always there for me. I mean, he owned a junkyard, and in early days, you could race out of a junkyard, and anything he had was mine. He ended up actually owning the State Line Speedway and Erie Speedway until his passing also. A few people I really, really need to thank is my good friend Randy Sweeney. I just raved about the Quality Market sponsorship and how it helped me. Randy was responsible for obtaining that sponsorship for me, which really helped my career out. He was there all the time. He'd come to the track. He'd come to the garage. It used to be when you win a feature race, you could go to the flag stand and people would come out. Well, Randy, I'd turn around, here comes Randy. He's got my hat in his hand, so I didn't have to take a picture without my hat. But Randy is a great, great part of my racing career, and I can't thank him enough. Thank you, Randy. Two brothers, Brian and Larry. Brian and I, for years and years and years, it was just the two of us. We spent countless number of hours in the garage. We'd tear the car apart at the end of the year, dismantle it, do what we had to do, and we'd put it back together and get ready for the next season. He was there every night at the racetrack helping. I mean, there's just no way it could have happened without him. My brother Larry, he wasn't quite so hands-on, but he was there. I mean, he's patting you on the back and saying thanks a lot. And, there's one in 2007, I remember this vividly. I don't know if he remembers it or not, but as it turned out, that was my best year racing. But I had raced long enough where I got to the point where I said, if I don't race any longer, I've had a great career. It doesn't matter. And excuse me, he come up to the garage one night and he goes, "Well, just go have fun and see what happens." And like I said, that turned out. I mean, it's stuff like that's irreplaceable. I said I wouldn't say very much. I don't know how many times I said that already. A couple, anyways. But anyways, finally, I mean, in conclusion, I still go to the racetrack, State Line Speedway, and childhood dreams can be achieved. Like I said, as a small kid growing up, just going to the track, and it's like, well, why not? And it's like, and that's the attitude to have. I mean, because you're not going to get there if you don't put the effort to it again. And again, this is such an honor for something that I would, it just caps off my whole career. I get in and, okay. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for the board and the Sports Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll be wearing one too.
Okay. Thank you.